The proposal to put the Smithers sculpture, Aotearoa, in the Brooklands Lily Pond, was first put to New Plymouth District Council CEO Roger Kerr-Newell in December 2006, by architect Terry Boone, longtime friend of Michael Smither. Kerr-Newell liked the idea and put it to the Council's Policy Committee on 30 January 2007. Michael Smither wrote the following artist statement, which was presented to the committee.
In the 1980s, when I lived up on Carrington Road, I became a keen observer of clouds. I made a series of drawings and paintings exploring the rhythms and structures of clouds. As a result of these works, I made another series of small three-dimensional wax sculptures, and in the 1990s, I developed these into larger plaster of Paris works that I cast into bronze, as I could afford it. The last of these, and the largest, I began in my parents' garage in Deralto Road, and after my mother's death transported to my studio in Aotearoa, where it was completed, in the summer of 2005-2006. I had been working on this sculpture over a period of 15 years. Its plaster version, it was heavy and required 2 or 3 strong helpers to rotate it into a new working position. As a consequence, it remained in one or other of these positions for long periods of time, and each position developed a very individual aspect. This enabled me to consider casting it 4 times, and by rotating each unit along its long axis, create a line of clouds. This rotation beautifully describes the evolution of the cloud structure. It now became the long white cloud, and it was obvious it needed to hover over and be reflected in water. I could envisage no better position for Aotearoa than in one of the Pakakura Park lakes. I've had a connection with Pakakura Park since my grandfather pushed me around the lakes in my pram. As a schoolboy on the lakes in rowboats. As a family man, caretaker, and resident artist at the Gables, which enabled daily contact with the park. Aotearoa, with its symbolism and deeper meanings, will be a valuable development of the park's already significant local, national and international reputation. I am not asking for a fee for this work, and the work itself I would like you to consider as my gift to the city of New Plymouth. I would, however, expect the expenses of casting, painting, transportation and siting of the work be met by the New Plymouth District Council. As the work is not a commissioned work, I retain the copyright of the sculpture itself, but would be happy for Council to use its image in promotional or advertising for New Plymouth City and Parks.
The Policy Committee accepted the proposal and sent it to the full Council meeting for final approval on 20 February 2007. At this meeting, George Fuller gave a lengthy submission, highlighting his concerns about the location in the Lily Pond. He asserted that to people entering Brooklands from Pakakura Park through the rhododendron dell, the sculpture hovering over the water lily lake would be an in-your-face experience, which would be setting a precedent without parallel in the park's history. He pointed out that features like the fountain, the water wheel and the waterfall were unobtrusive, and if idle could easily be missed by visitors walking within meters of them. He was trying to make the point that they had to be discovered. This is also true for the fernery. Other concerns included algae and mold, ducks fouling the sculpture, graffiti by people swimming out to it, people using it as target practice, hurling bottles at it, etc. As curator, George had lived in the park for 25 years, and he was well aware of the mischief people could get up to in the evenings. The main reason Smither picked the lake was for the reflection, and George suggested that keeping the lake clear of lilies to maintain the reflection would be difficult. As an alternate location, he suggested the sculpture would be better placed somewhere on the town's foreshore where Michael Smither had contributed significantly to its improvement. Maurice Keat and Joy Hall also gave deputations expressing concerns about the location in the Lily Pond. Smither maintained that this was the only location that he would accept. Smither, who attended the meeting, rebutted all of George Fuller's concerns and stated that,
as far as drunks swimming out to it and posing on it for photographs, I think is a bloody good idea. He's a bit worried about them throwing beer bottles at it and making it bong. That would be good for WOMAD. They could all be out there throwing bottles at it. It would take that sort of punishment.
Because of the opposition, the decision to proceed was deferred until the next council meeting, which was held on the 3rd of April 2007. The estimated cost was $97,000, to be paid for by the Art in Public Places Fund, which was set up for purchasing works such as the Smithers sculpture. The breakdown of the estimate was $57,000 for the production of 4 cast bronze clouds, $10,000 for painting, $20,000 for fixings and foundations, $10,000 contingency. At the next council meeting on April 3, George Fuller made another deputation. This time he concentrated on the fact that the lilies would always be an issue, interfering with the reflection in the lake. Michael, at the February meeting, had explained how he was inspired by a horse sculpture in Japan. He said he was able to get close to it, and from every angle, it was a masterpiece. George Fuller pointed out that in the lake, you would neither be able to get close to the sculpture, or walk round it, therefore, not benefit from the inspiration behind the piece. Fuller did offer an alternative location in the park, between the zoo and the gables, where he suggested elevating the sculpture. Despite the opposition, the council made the decision to proceed. Architect Terry Boone offered to oversee the project at no cost. The 4 bronze clouds were cast at the Monument Foundry, in Auckland, and delivered to New Plymouth on the 7th of June 2007. The clouds were painted by Greg Brown, master painter, using a 4-coat 2-pack Resine system. The color is alabaster. The system comprised a Resine vinyl etch adhesion primer, Resine Armorcoat 510 high solids epoxy, and a top coat of Resine Uracryl 403 gloss finish, which is good in a marine environment and also anti-graffiti. Whitaker Civil Engineering Limited carried out the foundation investigation, supplied the tannalized piles, constructed and fitted the support assembly and erected the sculptures. Installation took place during September 2007. The clouds sit on a platform, supported by 4 8-meter by 275 mm diameter, tannalized timber piles. The original design was to have each cloud perched on its own concrete foundation, but following an engineering survey of the lake bed, it was discovered that the foundation would have to go down 6 meters to solid ground, instead of the estimated 3 meters. To keep within budget, the design changed to a platform attached to wooden piles. The platform was designed by Terry Boone. The final cost of the installation was $94,217, consisting of $55,553 for the production of 4 cast bronze clouds, $970 for painting the clouds, $27,867 for fixings and foundations, and $9,827 for contingencies such as internal staff costs, turf reinstatement, contract preparation costs and a plaque.